Mhm.
Good evening, everybody. I see most everybody has joined. They're trying to connect. Just doing a quick scan of the faces that I can see. If you can, it'd be great to see your face. I also understand that sometimes it's hard to have your video on, but it's really nice to connect to your face in these black rectangles instead of looking at the black rectangle if possible. We are right at 7 o'clock. So I want to welcome everybody to our Coalition of Schools Educating Mindfully, our member event tonight, Right to the Core, Mindfulness and Poetry, joined here with our special guest, Laura Bean. Laura, I'm so excited for you just to introduce yourself, give us a little snapshot of who you are, the work that you do, and the spark that led you to create this curriculum book, Right to the Core.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to be here. Um, so I'm a public school teacher, teach high school here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I teach English and also mostly work with English language learners and develop the curriculum with them. And I also lead professional development around this curriculum, mindful writing, and was fortunate to publish a chapter in the COSM anthology, and just try to help with my colleagues at school and students to stay grounded in their bodies and remember to breathe. So
Thank you for sharing, Laura. I'm so
yeah.
curious if there was a person or an event or a series of events that really sparked this interest in creating this curriculum book, this resource.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I really feel like I've really come full circle. I have an MFA in creative writing and was doing work with young folks actually in elementary school back in the 90s in New York as a teaching artist with the Teachers and Writers Collaborative. And so, just allowing kids to see, the real joy of writing and sharing their drawings in anthologies. So, and I'll show in the slides, I have a little collection. So it's really been a lifelong, journey in my career as a teacher to share mindfulness and creative writing. So.
Well, I'm excited to dive into what you're going to share with us. But before we do, I have one more question just to contextualize you and the work that you're doing. You spent some time in Japan, quite a bit of
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
learning meditation and mindfulness practices. Please let us know about that experience and how it's informed the work that you're currently doing. And of course, with your curriculum book, Right to the Core.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was, thought I was headed to Japan for a year and ended up staying for a decade. Was worked with a meditation teacher there for 10 years and was very, focused on practicing having retreat time, as well as I was teaching college there. So yeah, so I just feel, but very blessed to have that kind of dedicated time to practice meditation while I was there. Less so since I've come back.
And clearly, it's had an impact because you're teaching high school students to integrate with this with their writing
Mm,
practices. Yeah,
mm.
awesome. Well, I think we should just dive right on in, Laura. If you're
Okay.
ready, I'm going to make you a co-host,
Hmm.
and I'm doing that now, and that way she can project her slides here, and we'll just she's going to show us a lesson from her book, Right to the Core. So I love that we're going to have a ready resource that we can use in the classroom with students that are interested, or if you're interested in teaching any students how to integrate mindfulness into their writing endeavors and goals and experiences.
Yeah, so thank you. So this is the cover, and I, came up with three C's, and then I added two R's. So compassion, connection, creativity, resiliency, and writing skills. So I think that about covers it. So it's really a place for students to experience joy in the classroom, and to be able to be vulnerable, and to develop, their emotional intelligence within an English language development, or in a special ed class, of course, in like an advisory as well, or an after school program. So, and as I was looking back, preparing for the, let's see if I can just click on here, preparing for this talk, I was looking at some early work back from the 90s. And as I said, I was working with elementary school kids. And so this is what a second grader had to say about her experience, because I went in and did like 8 sessions as a teaching artist, and worked with the classroom teacher. And so she said here, I like when we make books, read stories. Sometimes we breath out. My favorite thing is we read and breath out. So
That's awesome. This is so cool that you have this. What a treat to see. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And then I had, written this: breathe in, breathe out, picture it in your mind. So yeah, it goes way back. Let's see here. And so this is a little timeline that I put together when I lived in New York for 3 years, and was trying to launch as a performance artist. So this is an early little anthology of my writing that I did, and Love, Sex, and Hollow Holy Places. And like I said, I mentioned Teachers and Writers Collaborative, where I work. So these are just a couple of examples of anthologies that I did with students there. And then when I was in Japan, the first year that I was there, I was on it's called the JET program, which is Japanese Exchange and Teaching. And I did an anthology with kids there. Oh my God, English. And then these last 3 are, in the last few years. One with I worked at a middle school, and then this room 81 is just from last year. I was at Skyline High School. So, and they're poems and stories. So yes, yes. So all of these are their writing.
These are awesome.
Thank you. All right. So, the lesson that I wanted to share today is all of the lessons are centered around a poem, and this one is around St. Francis and the Sow by Galway Kinnell. So, maybe we could just take a moment to just ground, and then I'll read the poem, and then take us through the steps of the lesson, and show a little bit of student writing that came out of it. And actually just shared it again last week. So I have some fresh, hot off the press writing from students. So anyway, just to ground, feel your feet on the floor. And just allowing the day to wash away. And just to settle into the body. And if it's available, just connecting with the breath. Just allowing you to be right here, right now. And this lesson is around empathy and compassion. Just an invitation, if you like, to bring your hand to your chest or the belly. Just connecting with yourself in love and care. And now I'd like to just read the poem for you. St. Francis and the Sow. The bud stands for all things, even for those things that don't flower. For everything flowers from within of self-blessing. Though sometimes it is necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness, to put a hand on the brow of the flower and retell it in words and in touch, it is lovely, until it flowers again from within of self-blessing. As St. Francis put his hand on the creased forehead of the sow and told her in words and in touch, blessings of earth on the sow. And the sow began remembering all down her thick length, from the earthen snout all the way through the fodder and slops to the spiritual curl of the tail, from the hard spininess spiked out from the spine, down through the great broken heart, to the sheer blue milken dreaminess spurting and shuddering, from the 14 teats into the 14 mouths, sucking and blowing beneath them, the long, perfect loveliness of sow. And I would like to just bring the poem up. Oops. Find it. Where is it? Okay. Anyway, I'll show you. This is a close worksheet. So after I read the poem to the students, I hand out this worksheet, and then they fill in as I read it again. They fill in the missing words. So I pulled out some vocabulary, and you can discuss this ahead of time for the English learners or with any population that needs support with the vocabulary. So yeah, just I guess anyway, this is the first part. And what I like to do is to after they do this, to just have the students share words or phrases that resonated with them, and we can also like do a concrete noun hunt where they're looking and circling just where they connected through the five senses with the work. So everybody seems to really enjoy this, not only English learners, but even gen ed students as well. So the next one is, this is kind of an abridged version. It shows the basic steps in the lesson. So we start with a quick write, which can be a 5-minute writing about a time that you comfort someone, and then that after sharing that out, we move into the mindfulness practice, and these are about between like 5 and 7 minutes, and then the closed listening activity, which I just shared with you, and then appreciations, and then that part, it's like rather than like because poetry can be intimidating for young people and for adults, you know, to just really keep it at the level of appreciation and kind of, you know, what do they feel like the poem is saying to them, you know? So um uh, yeah, and then we move into a more analytical, you know, discussion with text dependent questions. And so I was very mindful in creating the curriculum that it did meet Common Core standards, so that for a teacher in an English or English language development classroom, that, you know, that the students are working on you know, their reading skills as well. And they also have the option of writing a text response where they consider the theme of the poem and make a personal connection to it. So I think I'll go back to the worksheets now to show you. This is where I'm talking about the text dependent questions and the text response, examining the theme and its development in the poem, and a self-reflection question. And there's an answer key. So it's really somewhat of a push and play for teachers. So they really can, you know, pick and choose what they want to use, but it is comprehensive, you know. And this is an example of the writing worksheet where there's a basic and a more intermediate and advanced level worksheet. So in this case, they're just, you know, copying a favorite line, and then they brainstorm some words in each of these categories, and then plug them in to a very short few lines from the poem, and then draw a picture. So this is more for like you know, an English learner classroom. And then a more intermediate level, same thing with the brainstorming, and then they fill in, you know, a much longer portion of the poem. And so in creating these templates, it was kind of like they follow the structure of the poem. So the poems really, you know, I think they sound pretty decent what the kids write, you know, and having them, you know, plug in words that it helps them to remember that poetry is really, and really, you know, good writing in general it's very concrete, you know. So they're able to be very successful, I think, using these. And I like to say that, of course, they are just a template, just a scaffolding. Use them as it's useful or not, you know. So they can also just write based on a favorite line if they want to just free write, or also, you know, do some kind of like personal narrative. So there's prompts for narratives in the lesson as well. So yeah, so those are the worksheets. And then I just wanted to just share a couple of student examples I think might help to make it a little, maybe a little more clear if it's not. So this one is called Audacious Jaw. And so they were brainstorming about animals that were endangered or feared or hated. So this student, Alma, this is a student that I have now who's a 12th grader, and she's a very good student. She's also quite reserved. And so I feel like in a way she was able to channel like some really, you know, fierce energy in this poem, Audacious Jaw. So I don't know, just to bring another voice into the room. I don't know if anybody would like to read this one.
Any takers? You can raise your hand or give me the emoji hand. I'm scrolling through. Laura, if no takers, I'll read it. I'll be happy to. Audacious jaw. Sometimes it is necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness, to put a hand on the audacious jaw of the shark and retell it in words and in touch. They are feisty. And the shark began remembering all down their awesome body, from the sharp teeth all the way through their sturdy tail. Blessings of the ocean on the shark. May they remember their confidence, the audacious, ambitious confidence of the shark.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for reading that. So yeah, I feel like right about now with my book launch, it's like, okay, this is exactly what I need. So anyway, it was really wonderful. And then I just asked her, just very offhand, maybe you'd like to write it, do a drawing at the bottom of the page, and this shark is like incredible, So
of worksheets that you have, opening with the quick 5-minute thinking about was it something somebody you cared for, something
a time that you comforted someone,
comforted and cared for someone, and then you lead into the mindfulness practice, you read the poem to really contextualize the lesson, and then you give them the guided practice scaffolding in such a way with the different levels. What an awesome just an awesome format to really help students be grounded in their writing and to eventually take off, right? To just take off and start from a blank page. But that can be pretty scary.
Yeah.
To start from a blank page. So this kind of approach is incredibly valuable and helpful. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I think it just gives them an opportunity to not only like appreciate poetry, which I think we don't do enough of, but also to really try their hand, and really to get like muck around with it. So anyway, so this is just one example, and I'll share one more. This one I did last year with students here in Oakland, and this was a collaborative poster kind of presentation where they did some research on an endangered animal or a feared animal, and actually showed a video of like the 10 most feared animals. So these students did some research about it, and then also wrote a collaborative poem together. And they also did some research about the difference between empathy and compassion, and so there's quite a bit going on this poster. This is the poem they wrote about the Japanese spider crab, which they called ocean vulture. And I wonder if anybody might like to try this one. You can see it, or I can read it too.
I'll read it.
Oh, Mary, thank you. Is it Mary or Mary Lynn?
Mary Lynn.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mary Lynn, thank you for reading.
Yeah. Ocean vulture, spider crab. Sometimes it is necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness, to put a hand on the claws of the ocean vulture and retell it in words and in touch. It is terrifying, and the girls began remembering all down its body, from the hard shell down through the long skinny legs, blessings of waves crashing on the beach. May it remember its importance to the environment. The ocean vulture lives on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mary Lynn. Appreciate it. So this was quite meaningful because this was last year when we were just coming out of the pandemic, and even this year I think the teachers appreciate that it's still kind of like students are kind of in their rectangles. And so to get the students to really work together to collaborate was quite a feat, and I was just really impressed with what they were able to do. So again and again, I just find when I offer students a creative outlet, You know, it's just very, I find it very heartwarming. And, you know, I know for myself, you know, the joy of creating work. There's just, I mean, I think in my life, there's just nothing really has compared, you know. So although teaching is a close second, but yeah, so anyway, it's really wonderful to be able to give them this kind of opportunity and to experience this kind of success, you know, which I think this sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
I think they sound great. I love the pictures, and I have to agree, you know, being able to put your creative spark in action is very fulfilling.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. I think, oh, and then I just have, this was one of the students wrote this quote on that poster where she says here, get it out of the way. Creative writing is a form of mindfulness. You can let your mind go in creative writing. So I think that's about it on the slides. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So I'm you know happy to put the lesson and the chapter in the chat, and you know answer any questions people
Yeah,
have.
let's go ahead and put the links in the chat to the lesson, maybe to your website.
Okay.
I see your website or no, email there. Those are your social media handles.
But let me get the work. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, my question was, how much time would you typically allot to run through the
Yeah, good
lesson
question.
that you shared tonight?
So I would say you know, at the minimum, it's like two 50-minute periods. And it could definitely be extended over like a 1 week, I would say, for a lesson, depending on, you know, of course, it's always depending, but I would say
Yeah.
at a minimum, a couple of hours for
Okay.
a lesson.
Got it.
So yeah, let me see if I get the links for this.
Okay.
Desktop. Chat.
And also, oh, did they go in the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Perfect. So make sure you guys, if you want to use this lesson and go ahead and copy those links that Laura put in the chat. I will also, I'm going to try to download them, and then I will make sure to put them in our member event area when this event is readily available. Anybody have any questions on maybe how to incorporate this or how you would use it, or questions on integrating mindfulness and writing? Maybe you have a personal story you'd like to share. Floor is open for questions. I see, is it Jen? Jen, go ahead and come off mute.
Hi, thank you for this presentation.
Sure.
Laura, I had a question about where you source your poems. Where are your go-to places to find your poems for inspiration?
Well, I think these are poems that I've just been exposed to over and over again in mindfulness circles. So they're really, you know, just personal favorites that were meaningful, that I felt were accessible. And, you know, like from Rumi's The Guest House and the autobiography in 5 short chapters, which is like working with habits, and Mary Oliver's A Summer Day. So yeah, and it kind of, the lessons kind of follow the emotional arc of the school year as I see it, you know, from the highs and the lows, and, you know, saving some of the most challenging things like compassion and empathy for others, and forgiveness for like later in the year, like more in this, in the springtime, when they've had a lot of practice under their belt and have again and again offered themselves self-compassion. Yeah.
How many chapters are in Right to the Core? How many?
There are 12 lessons.
12
in it,
lessons.
and so I originally thought of it like for 12 months of the year for teachers, but I see it more, I see it that it does kind of loosely follow the like I said, the emotional arc of the school year, but teachers can pick and choose from works that resonate mostly with them.
I love that. I also have another question, if that's okay. I'm curious. I love how you incorporated the art with the poem that you shared tonight. In each of the lessons, is there an art component? Is there a different active engagement other than the writing practice itself? I would love for you to elaborate maybe a little bit on that.
Yeah. So the drawings are really just, because I do work with English learners. So a lot of them, that's the easiest place for them to express, is through drawing. So yeah, I would say it's mostly around the poetry and writing. But I hired an illustrator for this, so there's an illustration at the beginning of each of the lessons. So I mean, I resonate a lot with visual art too. So I really, and I like to offer space for that for students, and for everybody who has a different way of expressing themselves, and it's not just English learners. So there are, I've got kids that are just all about drawing, just the visual learners are just amazing.
Yeah.
So to offer them a space as well.
Yeah, it definitely adds that depth to the piece, having the words and the visual imagery there. Anybody have any other questions they'd like to ask Laura? And it launches today, it's soon?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
I knew
tomorrow.
It was like today, tomorrow.
Yeah.
What a great resource. How exciting. So do you want to maybe link in the chat where they can purchase the book and
absolutely, yeah.
follow you on social media? Or maybe there, I think you had that slide up.
Yeah, this is, wait, let me share the screen again. So here is, and I am going to, can you see it? Can you see this? Or no? No, okay, sorry. Let me share that.
There we go.
Yeah. So I am going to be doing another introductory workshop on the 25th of April that people can link through my website, and see if I can get the
and we'll also link these, as I mentioned, with the other resources in our member site. So
okay. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it with this. The book is available through Amazon, Right to the Core. So
awesome. Well, I'm excited. I am really looking forward to. Oh yes, thank you for posting the Amazon link. Thanks, Linda. Yeah.
Thank you.
So if you'd like to check out the book, check out the book, make sure you get that link there on Amazon, and I'll make sure Laura's going to send me all these links and we'll put them in that one space on the member site when the event goes up. And usually that takes 1 to 2 weeks after tonight, and then you can find everything there. But I would definitely grab that link to the book now so you can purchase that resource and start encouraging other educators in your circle to check out this work. I love just finding all the ways to help students connect to mindfulness practices. And I think it's awesome that you've integrated the mindfulness and literacy piece, especially through poetry. And
Thank you. You know, I
Yeah.
just, I guess I just wanted to say that, you know, I've just found that, you know, with the level of distress that young people are facing in the mental health crisis, you know, it's kind of like, and I understand why, where teachers are, you know, they feel they're overworked, you know, physically, emotionally. I know how exhausting the work is. And so a lot of them, like in my school, and I think it's quite common that teachers are voting against offering what we call advisory in my district, but you know, the space that is for like the homeroom or that has more focus on social emotional learning, and the
Mhm.
teachers are saying no, you know, they don't want another prep, and so I feel like this is a way to integrate the social emotional learning, you know, in with academic content, you know, so teachers don't feel like they've got to really, you know, they got an extra thing that they have to do, you know, and it's you know, it's a place for everybody to remember that school is not only about academics, but it's also about developing as a human being, and you know, and as a creator, you know,
Yes.
that's a part of who we are as human beings as well, you know. So um so that's yeah, that's my spiel.
Agreed. Linda gave some heart power there. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. If there are no more questions, thank you everybody for attending tonight. If at any time you are missing the links, again, they'll go on the member site. Definitely grab that link now to Amazon and purchase this amazing resource that you can easily integrate into your own classroom, into your however you define those, whether they're intervention or advisory times, and then you can practice all 3 pillars of creativity, mindfulness, academics, maybe 4, social emotional learning, and 1. And what an awesome way for our students to really learn about themselves through this creative writing exercise that you've put together. So thank you so much, Laura. It's been really great to have you here and to talk about your Right to the Core curriculum book. I look forward to getting it and to sharing it with others and sharing some of these lessons with students myself. So thank you so much for
That'd be
putting
fabulous.
your creative spark in action. Grateful
Thank
for that.
you. Thank you again so much.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for being here.
Well, I want to say good night, everybody. Bye. I hope you have a great evening.